we sift through these adult artistic perspectives into a narrative of fevered, slightly absurd dreamscapes, we will now enter the Q&A. If you have questions, just raise your hand. I'm going to just start with thanking you for letting us show the movie. It's awesome to experience this kind of movie in a theater, in a public space. I can't imagine watching this on a computer and getting the same experience. So I really think it kind of reminds me of the magic of the movies, to not get too sentimental, but it kind of reminds me of why we love the movies and why we keep watching movies. Can you talk about the semi-sacred autobiographical moments that inspired the story?
Can I have a softball first? I thought it looked pretty good from in there, except for that damn title coming up. The semi-sacred...
The semi-sacred moments or the autobiographical story elements from your life that inspired the screenplay.
Right. So, I was trying to think of what to say this morning, and one thing is, it dawns on me that filmmakers only get one real try at their first film. And it tends to be the most intimate thing, I think, because they've been living, building up to make that first movie, or at least all that, they see a chance to pack everything into that first one. And I mean, I had made shorts before of times in my life when my daughter was young, usually coinciding with her age. So, she plays my sister in a couple. But this one was, we had a small budget, and it was a big deal. Like, I felt a lot of pressure to do something, and it was, starting with the casting, it was pretty tough because I think me and Penny went to the School of the Arts and had a casting call for people, and like these little girls would come in there, full of theater vigor, and deliver these shitty lines that I wrote, I couldn't, it was so embarrassing, and it wasn't right, and finally, it just, we just filled out the cast with Emily and her friends who I've worked with before, and Tyler, and a bunch of kids that I had known for a long time. And I know this is a really convoluted way of answering your question, but for me, it dawns on me how safe I kind of felt making this movie with all these kids that I knew. Because it was, like even after all these years seeing it for the first time in so many years, it's kind of jarring to me, like how personal it is. Like not, I didn't go through all the stuff in this movie, but it was kind of an amalgamation of a lot of stuff that happened to people around me, and I was pretty bad with girls. Is that kind of the answer?
I'll accept that. Can you talk about the sound design and the way it's hard to describe it, the way you kind of poetically integrate the diegetic sound, like the natural sounds, and then music, and then just, it's almost like a magical feeling. I can't describe it, but...
Yeah, so first off, I felt really fortunate because a friend of mine who I hadn't really seen in years came out to do the field sound for me. And it was really strange for him because he was played in the movie, he was the record thief and the drummer. And he came out, and I had him hold a boom over these scenes where he's being depicted. And he kept just shaking his head. And I asked him to write some songs for it after he worked on the production, and I think he did a beautiful job. But on top of that, I got permission to use the opening song and the second to last song by a duet named Ramona and Jessica from the Bay Area. I just love those two songs so much. But in between all the the soundscaping or whatever you call it, I don't know. I enjoy doing a lot of that myself. I get help from my daughter and Emily and Jasmine, her friend, who I've known through their entire musical careers, of course. And it just comes. For me, it's kind of. It kind of happens at the same time as the editing happens of the picture. Yeah. So that's, I think I was learning that in this film that I like to edit while I build the song, and since this, it's just become more of that. So.
Could we acknowledge any of the cast or crew that's here today? Could you just raise your hand? Thanks for being here. We have about 7 minutes or so. Does anybody have any questions for Jeff? Yes.
One of the, I feel like, most recurring themes in this project are cigarettes. And they're like a currency. Did that play like a really big part in your childhood?
Cigarettes and what?
Cigarettes. They just seem like a really big form, almost
Yeah,
like currency.
yeah, they were huge. I mean, it was a simpler time back then. So there were that fewer, yeah, it seemed like all we did was smoke. Look for cigarettes or, smoke ditch weed. That was a big one. Catnip, oregano. I feel like that's enough of an answer. But it was clear watching that who knew how to smoke and who didn't know
And did you smoke a lot as a young person yourself?
I did, yeah. I wasn't the best at it, but
Explains a lot.
Question? Yes? Here.
Bravo, Jeff. It's a beautiful film.
thanks.
I know you had told me back then that you were working with a lot of people, kids you knew. Can you talk a little bit about how you were able to keep them from being so much aware of the camera? Because the performances are really tremendous. And as a director, did you have a hard time, or just want to expand on that a little bit?
I don't really remember having a hard time breaking that down. I've been making movies with Emily and Jasmine and Aaron since we were little, so they were probably pretty bored. I paid them a little bit, so they were probably like, that's a job. Gabe was really pretty naturally self-conscious and kind of not creepy, but like a little bit inward naturally, and it was funny with Gabe because I couldn't tell if I was getting much while we were shooting, and then I'd watch it while I was editing, and it was great. Tyler was, you were a wild card, because at first I couldn't find a tough kid in all of Oakland, because my daughter went to Oakland School for the Arts, where everybody is like well practiced in anger management, non-confrontation, and then I saw Tyler for the first time after so many years coming out of like a karate competition or something. Dude. and I don't know. You just waltz right into it. It seemed to be very natural for you to elicit, to perform without being self-conscious. I'm so happy with those performances. I was a little worried because I haven't seen this movie for years. But the performances hold up.
Regarding performances, I know you have a lot of experience as a performer yourself. Do you prefer these days to be behind the camera or in front of the camera?
Being in front of the camera is a lot easier. It's not so much work, but watching yourself is a lot of work. No, I still love making movies. Yeah.
Do you want to talk at all about a project you're currently working on or directing?
Sure. So this one is non-autobiographical. It's about a homeless centaur living in Oakland with a teenage runaway girl, and it's a musical. And it's almost done, so stay tuned.
Question, I see. Yes, with the mask on.
Not to cover you too many questions about production, but how long did it take to shoot? Where did you source the locations, and how did you fill out the crew?
So we shot most of it in 2 weeks, not counting the weekend in between. And we were fortunate we have an apartment on our house, on the back of our house, and it was vacated. The tenants left in time for us to use the apartment for a set. And so I dressed all the rooms up to be different locations in the movie. Unfortunately, the tenants that left, we loved them, but they loved animals, and they left us with a flea infestation. So yeah, Dennis Demir, who shot it, I just remember distinctly watching him try to set up a shot while he's like furiously scratching his ankle. It was terrible. The crew, yeah, I had a good friend shoot it. I had another good friend do field sound mixing, Phillip, and I had a recent acquaintance, Allie Hansen, produced it. And who else? We had a couple different people AC it, assistant camera, and Jonas Klitmar, we used his gear, and he gaffed it. So it was a small crew, but it felt like a big deal to me because I had only made movies by myself. So it was luxurious to me. But it was 2 weeks too, and then countless weekends after that to try to get all the pickups.
I think there was another hand up for a quick question in the back, maybe. Before we go, as we live through these roaring 2020s, do you have any words of encouragement for the artists or the non-artists or the human beings out there in the world?
Just give up. No, I feel sorry for the next generation due to the cost of living here. It's just brutal. hate to state it, probably shouldn't have.
Good luck.
Yeah, good luck. That's we have great stuff, you know, whether you want to or not.